for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is your Big 12 Media Days. Day number 2. Hour 18 total between yesterday and today. We're working on this thing, and man, we try to bring you all of the interviews that we can. We try to bring you all the players and the coaches that we can. We just had Brennan on from Arizona. You think that guy's fired up to?
He's got a lot to prove.
Come back around.
Yeah, you could see it, and I wanted to bring that up with Noah. Like, he blames himself for that. It's interesting. You don't see a lot of coaches that humble.
No, and I think he's the kind of guy that he knows, like, even though Arizona is a program that I think people look at and go, okay, they'll be a little bit more patient with that. They brought Brent Brennan in, and they were like, now you need to turn the corner even more so than what Coach Jed Fish did before he had left. And they want a lot out of him, and that was a step back last year. You had Utah and Arizona, and who both were like, okay, we thought this was going to be a little bit of a different situation in the Big 12 in our first year, and it was not. And so you've got that. I love, too, that when you have a year that Arizona State had the year that they did, it actually just rubs that salt even more in the wounds of Arizona.
Well, it's funny how Utah and Arizona and BYU and Arizona State are on these parallel paths where last year, I mean, just as you point out, Utah had to watch BYU have this success and the NIL and everything going on. Same with Arizona. They had to watch Arizona State win the conference and go to the college football playoff when Arizona was the team that was supposed to be doing that. That's got to be absolutely driving them bonkers. And you can't imagine how hard they must be working behind the scenes to rectify that. And that's what college football is great, Alex, is it's so competitive. And those rivalries drive that competitiveness. And you have all these teams here, 16 teams here, that are driving that competitiveness. And we talk about 8 teams having a chance and maybe 9 to win this conference. How many conferences can say that? But then again, is that a good thing? That can be debated.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're in this competitive environment here where this is not just, kids playing sports. Like this is big business. Business.
I'm pointing at so we see this. You see the tall tight end out of Oklahoma State who's walking just past this year, and he's 6'6". He's red-headed with a big old mullet, and of course
that is. If I looked up Oklahoma State football player in the dictionary, that guy would be there.
Yeah. You know what high school he went to too?
Where?
Stillwater High School, Stillwater, Oklahoma. I'm not kidding. So,
he goes to his barber and says, "Give me the Gundy."
Give me the Gundy, but don't worry because PK goes, you ever seen Christmas Story? You know the bully in Christmas Story? You kind of look like that guy. And we were like this. No. And then Hans dials it up even more, only the way Hans can. You mean Farkas?
He knew the name of the kid.
You look like Farkas, kid. And there was like,
gosh.
and that was that made the interview go hilariously the rest of the way.
Good.
He was not loving it, but you know what?
Hey,
that's our deal. By the way,
we're here to entertain.
Oh my goodness! I didn't know that Frank Layden has passed away.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, did you just see this?
It's terrible news.
We just sent out the alert on KSL Sports. Legendary jazz coach Frank Layden has passed away.
Oh my gosh!
And we're not there in studio to be able to break this thing down and to do the breaking news. But Frank Layden, how many times do you think you interviewed Frank Layden? I probably did 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Over the years, I bet
it's processing the news here. Had multiple opportunities to sit down and talk to him. We produced a documentary a few years back about the team with heart, the first playoff team for the Utah Jazz.
Right.
So I spent almost a half hour just diving into the old Utah Jazz and how it all started, and how they had to sell Dominique Wilkins to pay the employees of the team to keep the team in Utah and keep it afloat, and all that Frank Layden did to make sure that professional basketball stayed in Utah in the early 80s. People don't understand how just it almost went away, and he almost single-handedly made sure it stayed here until obviously Larry H. Miller stepped in and bought the team. but there's so many sacrifices that had to be made. And he was the general manager, then the head coach. You think about that, how crazy that is now today with the way the NBA is. But Frank Layden is one of the premier sports figures in this state, in the state's history. I don't have words to capture the impact that he has had on the history of sport in the state. I don't have words to describe the impact he had on our community, the good that he's done, the money that he's raised for different charities.
The Boys and Girls Club is a huge thing for him and his wife. And his wife, by the way, was a fixture of being right next to him during all
Barbara.
of it. Barbara was there every interview that we had, and they were a duo, man, and they were something. Frank Layden passed away today at the age of 93. You can go check out KSLSports.com, get the full article that our own Ben Anderson has written up there. But, we're in the middle of covering Big 12 Media Day, and so that's one of those things that normally – we would have been right in the middle of being able to run with that, and I know that our producer Alex Napolis is going to try to get Big T on from Summer League tomorrow to be able to give some thoughts. Speaking of guys who were affected directly by Frank Layden.
Frank drafted him.
Yeah,
out of NC State.
Frank drafted a lot of really good players.
Karl Malone, John Stockton. He had an absolute run between 1980 and 1985. There would be no Utah Jazz as we know it without Frank Layden. And it needs, now that on this moment where he's passed, it's important that we celebrate what he accomplished here, what he did for not just the game of basketball in our state, but for sports in general, for our community. Just imagine what it would be like without his contribution. I can't.
Yeah, we'll see if Big T might be able to join us today, but we'll see if it's either today or tomorrow. We'll make sure we get Big T Thurl Bailey's thoughts on the passing of Frank Layden, legend in the Jazz community, of course, and former head coach of that, and also assistant for a long, long time. Think about all the guys who are affected by him too, like the guys who still live in the community, your Gordy Chiesas, your the coaches that have been for a long time associated with this team, and after the passing of Coach Sloan and watching, obviously, there's a lot of guys who've meant a lot to this program, and certainly the players that have been a part of the out. You think about guys who players would do anything for, and Frank Layden's one of those guys who always comes up. I've never heard a bad word said about Frank Layden ever, and so there you go. Frank Layden passes away at the age of 93. I do have some audio from here, Big 12 Media Days. I wanted to make sure that we were able to get to the full. And I don't know how long the prime presser was. I think it had to have been less than 15 minutes. But before we get to Coach Prime, I want to mention our program brought to you by G2G Bars, all natural ingredients and no preservatives. Bring you the G2G Bar that is the best protein bar in the market. Give it a shot today. And Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. Let's get to Coach Prime. This was the only media availability that Prime did today. Here in the building, which was him at the podium. He came right in. He showed up with Michael Irvin, and they both blitzed out of this building as quickly as they could. So here's Coach Prime from the podium today, the University of Colorado head coach. Here he is from the podium, and I will warn you beforehand, this is a lot of energy. I don't know if you've known this about Coach Prime before, but here's what he sounded like at the podium today.
Oh, God is good. I have no idea how good he is. Brett Yormark, I love you, man. I appreciate you. I think we have the best commissioner. I know we have the best commissioner in college football. Man that has called me daily, checked on me, make sure I'm straight, make sure I'm getting better and better. And I love you to life, my brother. I know you're somewhere clean as the Board of Health right now. And I love you to life, and you are absolutely the best. What you have in store for the Big 12. Rick, my AD, love you to life. You've always believed. You've always been a man of a standard, and I thank you for giving me a tremendous opportunity. The coaches of the Big 12 are incredible. I love them. They've been calling, checking on me, making sure I'm straight. But you talk about knowing football, teaching football, communicating with their kids. None of this stupid animosity or jealousy. I love the coaches of the Big 12. I want to beat them all, but I love them. I truly do. We've sold out season tickets for the 3rd straight season and 11th time in CU history. Prior to 2023, it had been 26 years since we sold out, which is incredible. I'm truly thankful for that. Class rankings, class number 24 overall, 3rd straight top 25 class. First time on record, 3 straight top 25 classes. I love it. Our coaching staff, this is without Byron Leftwich, which I'm praying that he does the right thing, and Mike Zimmer. We have 160 years of NFL experience with those 2 added. That's 204 years of NFL experience, and I want those years. Last season, the first season in CU history, only team in the country to appear on network television or flagship station of ESPN every single darn game, and I love it. And as for right now, we have 4 games slated for network television as well as ESPN. There's Georgia Tech, Delaware, Houston, and BYU opening out the gate. So we will be seen and we will be heard and we will be known. You youngsters out there, they're still trying to decide where you want to land. Okay, we're gonna start off with a wonderful woman, because that's what I do, and I have that kind of respect. So let's put a microphone to one of the ladies. Let's go.
We'll go center right, 2nd row.
First of all, how you all doing? You good? You just saying that? Or you good for real? There you go.
Hi, Coach Prime.
How you doing?
Glad to have you here with us, first
Love
of all,
your hair.
today.
Love your hair.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm Candace Lamb with D210 Sports.
Got you.
Coach Prime, you faced your own adversity recently, and while that's personal, your strength and how you've carried yourself publicly has been public. We've all seen it. I want to know how you instill that strength, obviously, in your players and this program, and how you merge that into the culture that you're shaping at Colorado.
Great question. First of all, I trust God with all my might, all my soul, and everything I have. I never waver. I never say, why me, regardless of what's ahead of me or what I see. Like, Lord, just use me. If you could use anything, you could use me. So I'm truly thankful. I'm truly a go-getter. I want to win at all costs. I want to win the right way. I want to set the right standards. And I want to prepare these young men for life, not just football. I want them to be professional. First, and second of all, I forgot, where's Mike Irvin, the playmaker? He came here with me today. Man, I love you to life, man. I just want you to know that. I want to tell everybody in front of I love you to life. I really do. Thank you. Don't make me cry up here. Thank you for being you, man. I really do. Boy, I love you. Let's go.
Center or left, in the back.
David Ubben with The Athletic. Coach, what have been the challenges of your health issues, and what did an average day look like for you?
Athletic, sometimes y'all be on that bull junk, so I'm really not going to tell you much.
All right.
You know that. But I'm not here to talk about my health. I'm here to talk about my team.
Do you know what an average day look like for you on the range?
Average day, I'm looking good. I'm living lovely. God has truly blessed me. Not a care in the world. Not a want or desire in the world. Thank you, sir.
All right, appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Center right.
Hey, Coach. Xavier McNevin, Scope Up Sports. I wanted to ask about your wide receiver group going into the season.
They are unbelievable.
They are.
They are awesome. I can't wait to unleash them. They're great. Now, you got to understand, they're replacing some dogs that all of them will be in a professional, all 4 of them will be in a professional camp from a year ago. But these young men are unbelievable. I can't wait till the world get a glimpse of these receivers. We have some youngsters from freshmen on up that can flat out go get it. And I'm proud. I'm proud of our recruits, our coaches. I'm proud of what we've brought into Boulder, Colorado.
Center left, 2nd row.
Hey, Coach, Ryan Koenigsberg from DNVR. First of all, how are you feeling today?
What's going on, boss?
What's going on, man?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Don't I look good?
You look great.
Well, thank you. Look good. I'm feeling good.
Your quarterback room also looks great. You have 2 really talented players.
We brought both of them because I don't know which one's going to start.
My question to you is, would you be comfortable with a situation where both guys played?
Yeah. as long as they're doing their jobs and we're winning, we definitely want to continue to develop Juju, but Caden is unbelievable. Caden's off the chain. He's been there, done that. He can get the job done. I wouldn't have brought him here if I didn't trust him. But Juju is coming on around the mountain when he comes. And I love him. I love what he brings to the table. I don't know how it's going to play out, as long as it plays out. We can't lose either way with either of those two.
Fourth row, center right.
Coach Prime, how are you?
How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm Jarrett Ramirez with RedRaidersports.com. You talked a lot about Media Day last year about your relationship with Joey McGuire.
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you paid attention at all to what they've been doing in the portal, especially.
Yeah. Joey got some money. Joey, where you at, baby? He's spending that money. I love it. I love it. Once upon a time, you guys was talking junk about me going in that portal. Now, when everybody go in the portal, it's okay. It's cool when they do it. But it's a problem when I do it. Ain't that a rap song? First of all, let's get this straight. I love me some Joey McGuire. And one of the best coaches in our conference. I've seen him excel from high school all the way to where he is now, and he's a winner. And I absolutely love it. And you know, I love him because he's a man of standard. We played there last year, and we was getting bombarded by them tortillas. I don't know how to say it. Somebody say it. Tortillas. We was getting bombarded by that. And Joey grabbed the microphone and told him to stop throwing at us, or it's going to be some consequences. And I love that. And I love Joey. Joey, I know you're out there, baby. I love you, man. I appreciate you. Can you send, a few of those dollars to us so we can get some of those players, too?
Center left in the back.
Good afternoon, Coach. Alyssa Cooper with the Fort Worth
Where you
Star
at, baby? I can't. Where you at? Okay, there you go. There you go.
Coach, you've spoken very positively about the Big 12, and I was just wondering, how do you build out the long-term plans for your program, given that the conference has grown and changed over the years?
Well, I started this by saying I love our commissioner, I love our AD, and they provided a luxury of growth, of unity, and respect. So our long-term plans are to win. Our short-term plans are to win. I have a simple formula. It's like 40-40-20, grad transfers, and high school kids. So I stick to what we do, what we know that works for us. It may not work for somebody else, but it works for us. And it's been working for us, so I'm pleased with it. Great question.
Center left, fourth row.
Hey, Coach. Justin Lasser, Toasted Devil's Digest over here. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
You and Kenny Dillingham both got started at your respective programs at the same time in the Pac-12. Played them that year. You guys won. Now made the transition to the Big 12, and you guys play again this year, except 2 years later, they're coming in as Big 12 champions. So what could you say just about what Kenny's done for that program?
First of all, Coach Dillingham is unbelievable. He's a dear friend. We go way back. I thought we was going to have the opportunity to coach together at one point, but he's excelled, man. And what he did last season was darn believable. I didn't get jealous. I didn't get sensitive. I was just proud of him because, we were virgins together coming into the Big 12. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thankful. The Pac-12 did in the Big 12. So I'm thankful that he did the doggone thing that was unbelievable, and now he's soaring. And I'm just happy, man. I want to see everybody get together. I want to see everybody win, except when they play us. But I want to see everybody win. But I'm proud of Coach Dillingham and what his relationship with those kids and those young men. And I know some of them personally, that he is who he says he is, and I'm proud of him.
Center right, second row.
Hi, Coach Sanders.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Excellent.
Good. So, it being your third year as the Colorado Buffaloes head coach, what are your expectations for the program this coming season?
We want to win. We want to win at all costs. We want to be in that championship game, not here at the Star, but over in that other big house that Jerry's built. That's what we want to do. And that's what we're gearing up for. That's all we're playing for. We play to win. We don't just play to compete. Great question.
Center right, first row.
Roe Parrish.
My brother.
Hey, from number one, blessings to you.
Thank you.
Glad to see you up here healthy. Again, Roe Parrish, CBS, Texas. You are very meticulous when it comes to things about Colorado, whether it be players, uniforms. Will you pull back the curtain on the process of what you will be selecting when it comes time for you to say, now give me my theme music?
Smart, tough, fast, disciplined young men with character.
Wait, hold on. No. I know that part. When you say give me my theme music, as you know, I talk about music.
Right.
What's going to go to that process of selecting that track that's going to play?
I got to feel it, man. I got to get a feeling for the team. I got to get a feeling for how they move, how they work, what they want, their needs, and I just got to get a feeling for it. See, I'm old school, not an old fool. I'm old school, but I got to adapt to what's now and what's current. So sometimes I may let Big Jordan, Seaton, I may let the big fella, who's a phenomenal player, who's going to be a first rounder. This is a testimony that this is how much I love my players. Big fella called me yesterday and FaceTimed me, and I was out there watching Grown is Shador, I'm sorry. He was preparing at the crib, for his tremendous season that he's going to have. And the big fella called me, he said, Coach, we fly in and we get in like 6, but I need to go somewhere and get my hair braided because my hair is raggedy. I said, okay, what you thinking? He said, well, how far is downtown? Because I think we'll be in the McKinney. I said, I think you can make it at a reasonable time. Ain't nothing going to happen. But the moral of the story is, I'm happy that my players can call me about getting their hair braided.
There it is.
I don't know how many other coaches in the Big 12 that the players can call them about getting their hair braided. And I love the big fella, man. And he's going to be a phenomenal player along with the other guys that we brought.
Time for a couple more questions to go center right. 4th row.
Hey, Coach Prime, Stephen Johnson, Fort Worth Star-Telegram.
How you doing, sir? Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Y'all used to be on my neck.
Hey, I just got here. But,
amen.
You guys play TCU again this year.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, how significant was that game in 2023 for you?
It was everything. It was like the genesis of my coaching career in college, in major college football. It was the genesis of you seeing Travis and Shador, some other players that we featured in our program, and it was phenomenal. I mean, I'm excited about coming back to Texas to play because, this is my second home now, but I absolutely love it. They have a wonderful coach as well, and I'm pleased and I'm thankful. I think I saw him. I was in Papados over across town one day, and his whole staff rolled up in there, and he showed love. So I'm thankful for that as well, but I can't wait. I can't wait to come back, as well as Houston. We go to Houston as well. So I can't wait. We have 2 games in Texas, which is phenomenal, and which allows us to recruit tremendously. So I'm happy about that.
Coach Prime, you heard him right there from the podium. If you missed it at all, you can go back, take a listen via our podcast or anything else. So we got to take a quick break here. When we come back, the passing of Frank Layden just within the last little while. It's been announced. The news broke just a few minutes ago. Our own Ben Anderson has a write-up right now about the life of Frank Layden, and a guy who's been in the community a long time. And we're going to talk with Big T Thurl Bailey coming up in just a little while. One of those guys who was drafted by Frank Layden in 1983. We'll talk to Big Thurl, and we'll talk to him regarding the passing of his former coach and former Jazz legend, Frank Layden. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. We're at Big 12 Media Days. We'll chat with Big T next right here, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.
Live from Frisco, Texas. This is the KSL Sports Zone coverage of the Big 12 Media Day. As we get you ready for the 2025 football season. Presented by Window World. High quality without high prices. That's the Window World way. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. JJ and Alex here with you from Big 12 Media Days in Dallas. At the Star here in Frisco, we've had a long couple of days of lots of interviews with Utah, BYU, all the teams in the Big 12. And moments ago, we got the same news that I think a lot of folks got at the same time, which is that legendary Jazz coach Frank Layden, person who you and I, JJ, have interviewed many times. You've had a lot of time that you've spent with him on camera. Frank Layden's passed away at the age of 93, and that was awful news for us to hear. And it's one of those things, too, where at 93 years old, we knew Frank was he did as much as he could all the time. Anytime you asked him to do something, he would do it. Barbara was right there with him, his wife, and joining us on the program right now, somebody who was drafted by Frank Layden, somebody who obviously has been very close with the coach over all the years and has been on this program many times. He's Big T Thurl Bailey. Thurl, thanks for joining us on the program, and we're sorry to hear about Coach's passing today.
Oh, my pleasure. It is definitely a sad day, and as you put it, going forward, obviously we're going to mourn his loss, but there's a lot to celebrate with this man. There's a lot of thanks coming from my way for what he meant to me over the years, what he continued to mean to me after his retirement, after mine. Just a legend. And I think if you had to, besides the finances and the money, which is all a part of organizations, I think Frank Layden at certain points almost single-handedly helped save this franchise. And you're right. He was a man of the people, of the community. He did so many things that are documented, but that people don't even know that he did. Just a generous human being, and I sure will miss him and loved him dearly.
Big T, sorry for your loss. I know how much Coach Layden meant to you and the impact he had on your life. And I want to go back to the time that you first met him. Do you remember that? Do you have any memories of the first time you crossed paths with Coach Layden? Maybe it was, I don't know if it was during the draft process or when that was. What do you remember about that?
Actually, it wasn't until I came to Salt Lake City.
Really?
I didn't meet him at the draft. There was a representative there at the draft. And then when I got to Salt Lake, I remember our first meeting. And it was interesting to me because I had some great coaches, throughout my college career, my high school career. So I was a little nervous coming to the elite level of basketball and as a first round draft pick and thinking that everybody was going to be serious and everything. And Frank, he just made me feel so at home, so comfortable. I think he cracked a joke. The first thing he said to me, just to let down my guard a little bit. And ever since that point, I trusted him. And it may have been a little unusual in the NBA to have that kind of trust and relationship in a guy you didn't know that well. But that's how Frank made you feel. First time you met him, he was genuine.
One of the things, too, Thurl, is that, you talk about you coming to Salt Lake and being nervous, and I'll tell you, the NBA was a very different beast back then, and pro basketball in the state of Utah, or an NBA team at least in the state of Utah, it obviously had the history with the ABA, but when you talk about being able to build a team, it was a very dicey moment for this team. And Frank Layden sometimes had to put himself personally out there to be able to make sure that this team was successful before it even got off the ground. And I think that speaks a lot to it, too, because it's like he wasn't just invested in this team. He was literally invested in this team. And I think guys like him, and you think about the coaching staffs that have been here in Utah and all of the moments that have led up to the time to be able to, his time with the Jazz, that 9 years of being that, part of that organization, that was the early part of an organization that needed guidance at the beginning and probably had a lot of questions about how they were going to do this thing going forward, and Frank Layden was a huge part of making it work.
No question, and I think that's what I meant early on when I talked about him being a human marketing strategy. The guy there weren't many wins going on before I got here, and I didn't know a lot about the past history of the Jazz, recent history, until I got here, and Darrell Griffith came over to me because he had won a national championship in college, and so had I. And so Griff came to me and said, Thurl, I know you're used to winning. I came off the national championship too, but wins are hard to come by here. We got to put the work in. We got to get to the point where we're winning games. So don't have too high of expectations. And everybody knows the stories of, Frank Layden talking about people calling to ask what time the game was, and he just said, "What time can you be there?" That's just what kind of guy he was. I mean, he made you understand that, yeah, we've got to get this team to a certain point, but there's certain things we have to do to prepare to do that. We've got to keep the people interested. He was self-contained entertainment, and people loved it. People loved that part of Frank, along with what he put into his coaching. And he was a great executive. I know he won NBA Executive of the Year in 1984. That was the year that I came in, and he's got so many great accolades, of course. He and I have the J. Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award in common, and that's just a community award, just being out there and being yourself and enjoying the fans. So, yeah, he's leaving a huge legacy.
Coach Layden was one of a kind, and this weekend on TV, I'm sure we're going to be playing all the funny clips and the funny moments that he had in the NBA. He was an entertainer as a coach, but I want to also point out, Big T, that he was also very good. He was very disciplined. He ran a tight ship. How did he balance that, the entertainment part, being his gregarious self and knowing when to make the jokes, but also knowing when it was time to get serious and get serious about ball?
Well, that was it. He understood timing, right? Whether it was one of his jokes, when to tell it, who to tell it to, or whether it was time to get to work, or whether it was time to be the players that people expected us to be. And it wasn't easy, right? I mean, if you know anything about the journey of John Drew, Frank Layden cared so much about John Drew. He knew that John Drew had some dependency problems, and he tried his best to continue to keep John Drew clean and just so many things that people don't know about. But Frank just knew, and he also knew how to not take things too seriously. I remember one time we had just gotten beaten. I think it was the Lakers in California, in L.A., and we were on the bus, and the bus was quiet, and Frank got up as we were just driving down the street, and Frank said, "I want you to look over there," out the left window, and there were just a row of homeless people. And he basically said, it's just a loss. We'll get back to the drawing board, but it's not the end of the world. Look, there's people that have it worse off than we do. So Frank had a way. He had an amazing talent, amazing gift to be able to distinguish and timing of everything as far as what he needed to say, when he needed to say it. And he had a hammer, too, he could put down. You know the stories of him and Adrian Dantley as well, and there were, other, players' disagreements and things like that, but he knew how to handle it. And much like Jerry did, because he taught Jerry a lot, too, he knew when to let it go and to get to work.
Big T. Thurl Bailey joins us here on JJ and Alex as we remember Frank Layden, who passed away today at the age of 93. Obviously, Big T, your time around him is invaluable for us to be able to dip into. And we were talking about how the multiple times over the years where he lived close enough to downtown that he and Barbara would just pop in. I mean, when you said, "Hey, could we get you to talk about X, Y, and Z?" We'll be down there, and it was they would drive up to broadcast house. They both walk in, and it was like Barbara was his PR manager too. Like she was like as good of a marketer as almost like, I mean, she learned from him, right? But she was as much of a spitfire, or she's as much of a spitfire as her husband, and obviously with the passing of Frank, it's a massive loss for her as well. And they've been a team for a long, long time.
They are, and at some point again, they will be again, I believe. And I think I'm glad you brought up Barbara, because I know Frank learned a lot from her as well. He talks a lot about how Al and Dickie McGuire introduced them years and years and years ago as matchmakers, and the rest is history. But for Frank and Barbara to maintain that strong, lasting relationship through all of, Frank's responsibilities in the NBA, it says a lot about who they both were, and they had each other's back. And you can't mention Frank in a breath without mentioning his long life companion in Barbara.
Big T, Thurl Bailey. Thurl, thanks for joining us on the program at short notice and in a moment that's, obviously a grieving moment for you and for the community who are Jazz fans, and Frank Layden's passing at 93. Let's talk Jazz basketball one of these days, and we appreciate you joining us on the program again, and we thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
There you go, Thurl Bailey.
Thanks, Big T.
I can tell the emotion in his voice. It's hard to ignore, a guy who took time and takes time with the media like he did. And then you think about adding that on to the personal relationship that a guy like Thurl had with the guy who brought him into the league, took a chance on him, put his arm around him, and taught him a bunch of life lessons. And, the rest is history with that. But appreciate Thurl Bailey joining us on short notice on a day like this. So we'll take a quick break. We're here live in Dallas at the Media Days here for the Big 12, and we'll come right back. We've got more interviews to get to. We've got more to be able to get you all the way up the rest of the way and dialed in with anything that you may have missed with the coaches and the players. Utah today featured heavily in their coaches. We also had a conversation with Mark Harlan, the athletic director, over the phone as he was back in Salt Lake. But we've got lots to get to here, so stay right here with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The 2025 football season is nearly here, and it's time to hear from all of the coaches and players.
Yeah, boy!
This is Big 12 Media Day, live from Frisco, Texas. Media Day coverage on The Zone is brought to you by Window World. Call Window World for free quotes on windows, doors, and siding today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back to Big 12 Media Days here in Frisco, Texas at the Star. Alex, Kirry, Jeremiah, Jensen. You know us as JJ and Alex during the week. We're kind of, Big 12 Media Day guys right now, JJ. You did the TV side of things.
Yep.
Before we get started here, and I started asking you some of the questions about, because I was like, this is actually going to be kind of interesting because you and I got totally different views of things over the last couple of days. But we've interviewed similar people, listened to interviews, had back and forth with some of the major players, of course, and to be able to break that down is one thing. It's another to be able to go, okay, what was your angle of it? But first, we've got a Big 12 Media Days caller number 12 at 801-575-ZONE. What are you going to get with caller number 12 and a 575 zone phone call to Alex Napolis, our producer? You're going to win tickets on a Win Ticket Wednesday. It's the Summer Unity Tour featuring Collective Soul live and special guest Our Lady Peace, July 13th, Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater in West Valley. Go check it out for yourself and go to livenation.com for tickets, or you can also just win them right now. Be calling number 12, 801-575-ZONE. JJ, when you sat down with, or when you listened to conversations with Kalani Sitake and Kyle Whittingham, from the head coach's perspective, what's going into year 21? Kalani's going into year 10, which is crazy. We've got double-digit years.
Wow.
But where are both of those guys at this particular juncture? And going into this year, considering last year, considering what the future looks like, where are these two guys at? And give me Kyle first, and then we'll talk about Kalani.
Kyle Whittingham is in an interesting spot because this is a head coach who has had an incredible run at Utah and has accomplished a lot, more than anybody thought possible during his tenure. And all of a sudden, right before he's ready to kind of sail off, into retirement, 5-7 happens.
Yeah.
And I don't think that sat very well with him.
He said he couldn't allow it to happen after.
There's no way he was going to walk away after that. And so now you have a coach who was in one mindset, perhaps, maybe, and then something has flipped that switch to
shift,
another.
Right?
And I asked him that question today. I says, you didn't have very many 5-7 seasons. You had 3.
2 or 3? Yeah.
You had 3 in 21 years where you didn't have a winning season, and this is one of those years. How has that impacted you? How has that impacted the program? And he talked about how hungry he is now and motivated to right the ship.
Yeah.
To not go out that way, and to make sure that this program is in a position of success moving forward. I think that means a lot to him. And I also get a sense that he feels like this team can do it.
PK.
And I think he's guarded about it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of excitement about what Devon Dampier can bring. That offensive line is really good. There's a lot of reasons for Utah to be excited about it, but I also know that Kyle Whittingham during his tenure has really liked being the underdog. He likes being in this situation, and I think that could bring out the best in him and their program.
PK brought up, he's like, and we asked him the question too. It was like, hey, everybody else is talking about this, but where are you at? And he goes, he's like, first of all, because every time they talk about Coach Morgan Scalley, he says out loud, our defensive coordinator, Morgan Scalley, who's our coach in waiting, like he's talking about the guy who's replacing him. He's talking about the guy who's going to be his replacement going forward. And part of that is because they want to keep him around. Mm-hmm. They want to make sure that people stay away from him. They want to make sure he feels happy. How long can you maintain that balance of you're the coach in waiting, you're the coach in waiting, I'm still doing this for a while? Because we've gone from, I bet this is his last year, to, and maybe that's the plan, was just to keep us at bay for a little bit during the season, to not bug him about it. It was like, no, don't think that this is going to be Kyle Whittingham's last year. He could surprise you and go 2 or 3 more. That was the vibe that we got over the last couple of days.
Well, remember last year, news broke when we were at Media Days that they had a game against Miami in 2027.
And he's like,
I'm not going to be around for that.
Right.
Well, this is 2025, and next year's 2026. Could he stick around for 2 more seasons and be around for that? I don't know.
Maybe it's a little bit more concrete than we think, but they're just like going, let's stay away from the narrative of when I'm going to retire maybe.
I think that's the point, right? I'm sure he's taking it on a year-to-year basis, and he deserves that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fine. And Morgan Scalley's been the coach in waiting for, 5 years now? To be honest.
It's been on and off, yeah.
And it wasn't really public, but that's always been the case for the last 4 or 5 years. It's in the contract.
It was, and they took it out.
And then they brought it back.
And then they brought it back again.
So, the bottom line is Kyle Whittingham still has that fire. He still has that competitive nature. The program, it seems, is in a really good spot. Recruiting is going really well right now. I think that there's an energy and a drive to make sure that they reach some goals that maybe they haven't achieved yet. Winning a Big 12 championship would be a big deal for Kyle Whittingham and this program after going 5-7 last year. Whether it's this year or next year, I don't know. We'll see. But there's got to be a motivation and a fire to get back to there. And so that's got to drive him each and every day. And I felt, just in being around him over this last day, that last year, would you agree? You kind of felt like that there was a missing spark of energy with him. Feels to me like that's back.
It's back. Well, certainly at the end of the year, he was going through the motions and wanted to throw that thing in the bin.
Yeah.
That was...
Like you could tell, and there was a lot of things we don't know about that season last year, stuff that was going on the inside. That's their business. It was hard. It was really, really hard, and I'm sure it took a toll on him. But to see him today, see that energy back, that spirit back with him, I think he's hungry, and I think he's ready to go as a head coach this year.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back. We've got lots to go here. We've got some things to bring you still from the podium. If you may have missed, you've also got some players that you may have missed. Also, if you also want to go back and just see the podcast episodes and see some of the players and segments that we were able to have over the last couple of days, check it out for yourself. BYU players, Utah players, coaches, both athletic directors. We got them all right here for you. You can go check it out on our podcast page of KSLSports.com. JJ.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We're at Big 12 Media Days. JJ and Alex Stone, our tech, who's just been friggin' solid as could be for this whole dang trip, and then our producer Alex Napolis back in Salt Lake. We will come right back. We got more to go. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
JJ and Alex live from Big 12 Media Days right here in Frisco, Texas at the Star. Thanks for being with us on the program. Alex Kirry, Jeremiah Jensen. The passing of Frank Layden has hit us on the show today quite hard. We had Big T Thurl Bailey. If you missed that conversation with Big T, that's a guy who has meant a lot to this Utah Jazz program. Coach Frank Layden over the years. Those first two seasons where you're like, how are they going to make this thing work? And you start talking about how payroll was even difficult to come by.
It was bad.
And then they go to the conference semifinals year 3, to go to the conference semifinals year 4, to go to the playoffs again in year 5, and to stack up all of those Hall of Fame draft picks over time. It's been phenomenal to see, and Frank Layden, apart from that, was always available to be able to have a media interview with, and was fine to
think
talk
of a
about
greater community ambassador.
No. Listen,
than Frank Layden.
We're in an era now, and we're at a place now too, where guys are walking right past you, and you go, "Coach, can I get?" And then they're like, "No."
Yeah, you experienced that the last 2 days.
PR guys walk straight past you with the guys while they're here to represent their school, and they go, "Where are you guys out of? Salt Lake?" Yeah, we don't play you guys till week 10, I'll call me and we'll get on before the season. It's like, yeah, right. Yeah. Or before the game. Yeah, right. Frank Layden, on the other hand, was, I'll be there. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I'll come in. And then there's the work that he did, the charity work that he did, the Boys and Girls Club affiliation. Phenomenal stuff that we're going to miss him for. But Frank Layden passes away at the age of 93. That news hit us today while we're here in Dallas. And if you want to listen to the conversation we had with Big T Thurl Bailey about 15 minutes ago, you can go onto our podcast platform and take a listen, or wherever you find your podcast. Our program brought to you by G2G Bars, and also this hour brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. Nobody knows cars like Doug. And we didn't get to chat with Dave Aranda, who's the head coach of Baylor. And the Baylor Bears are interesting because that's one of those teams. We're starting to see a theme here, right, JJ? You go, look at these guys who struggled to start the season, figured it out by the end, and it was like it wasn't just close. It wasn't just close games at the end of the year. They were winning against teams. In Baylor's case, they won 6 in a row before they got to their bowl game. But I will tell you, it was Baylor. TCU had a really, really good. Sonny Dykes came on. He goes, I hated the way we started. We didn't deserve to win any of those first 3 games. They gave up 12 turnovers in 3 games. He goes, yeah, we stunk. And then they turned it around. Kansas ruined a bunch of good teams at the end of the year, their seasons. So many teams are on the edge and have the talent to do it. This is Coach Dave Aranda from the Baylor Bears, a team that is one of those that you got to watch out for, and I think that has moved up a lot of our polls this year, at least our informal KSL Sports Poll, if you want to go take a look at it for the Big 12. Here's Coach Dave Aranda for the Baylor Bears from the podium today at Big 12 Media Days.
Yeah, I wanted to start just by acknowledging and commenting on just the flood and just the travesty there in just Central Texas, and so just so affected by that. I just as a parent, I know a lot of you guys are the same way. Is that it's you think of? I remember when my little girls were going to camp, and just the build up to it, and the anticipation, and the nervousness, and then the excitement, and then when you drop them off, it's kind of scared, and then it ends up being so good, and then just I initially think of it like that. I think of it through that lens, and then I learn more about the little girls that passed away and the little girls that are missing, and it's a parent's worst nightmare, and it's beyond tragedy, and so just this last couple days have just really been struggling with that, and my wife and I have been just keeping up with it, and I just wanted to say that my heart is broken, and the girls and the families affected are in my thoughts. I'm hopeful maybe football can be somewhat of a distraction here coming up when we get to Saturdays in the fall, and so from all of this, I feel good about the direction of the team. It's a talented team, and it's a hard-working team, and it's a team that's hungry. I think it's a team that is really vying and working hard for respect. And so from the very beginning in January, there's been some additions from the portal and the high school class, and there's been a few changes on defense with the staff, and the gelling of all that's been really strong. I think there's been really strong qualities that each individual's brought, and we've tried to identify that early and then kind of cater everything to flowing that way so that those people are in their best spot to do what they do best. I feel that that's on track. I think it's a challenging schedule for us, and what we've got to be able to do is be detailed and be consistent and be disciplined. And so our focus is really in those areas. And there's ways that we can achieve that here in the summertime and in fall camp, and our focus is totally that way. We're looking forward to a really positive season and starting off the season strong. Take any questions you guys got.
All right, we'll open it up to questions for Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and we'll have a microphone holder go to you. We'll go to the center left in the back.
Hi, Coach. Here in the back, Shaji Adam, KX6V, ABC 25. You talk about the season. You're going to open against Auburn on a Friday. So what does it mean to you that you get to be part of something like that? And how much has the conference grown since you started at Baylor?
We're excited for that first game. I think that, it's going to take a really, really detailed and focused approach to be in some big moments in that game and to win those moments, put us in a position to win the game. I think there's got to be growth from where we were just, a couple months ago versus our bowl opponent to this one. And so we're going to be in some similar spots, and the outcome's got to be different. And so excited for that opportunity. I know that there's great player-led leadership on this team, and I really feel that is being driven by knowing what the schedule is and kind of where the start of all of it is. And they're really focused on holding a really strong standard in just whatever the process is, whatever the day-to-day is up to bat. And then, I feel really strong about the conference. And so, our schedule is an example of it. You look at just the amount of teams we're playing that have got quarterbacks that are just so difficult to contain, and you got defenses that are so pressure heavy and disguise their looks, and you've got the schematics on offense are just at the forefront of college football, and the tough road environments and just all of it. And I think it's you look at every Saturday, it's a toss-up in terms of who's going to come out. And so I'm looking forward to that. I know it's going to take the best that we got, and we're looking forward to give that.
Center left.
Bryce Cherry, Waco Trib. Dave, obviously y'all had a tough situation this offseason with the loss of Alex Foster. I was just wondering how you tried to rally the guys together after that tragedy, and how are they doing, and how do you guys try to remember him this upcoming season?
I think it's very hard. I think you, or we'll say me, I know that life is not fair. I think if someone were to ask me that in just passing, I would acknowledge that. But then, here's Alex, and here's just a gentle giant, such a humble heart, always wanting to please, always wanting to do right, to do good, always on the side of encouragement. There's not really like a mean bone in this boy's body. And then for it to kind of go the way that it went, it gets you mad because it's not fair. And I don't know, I think our whole team feels that, and so there's days that are better than others, but then it just, the anger to sadness to back and forth, and I think it's going to be there for a while, and so we have to kind of learn to live with it and move alongside it. We took the team to the funeral, and I thought that that was really powerful, and I'm glad that we did that, but I think there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Go to the right side.
Dave, Parker Ream with Fox 44 in Waco. You mentioned during those opening statements that this team is hungry and kind of vying for that respect. Where does that hunger come from? Is that from what y'all built last season, what you've been building these past few years? What makes this team so hungry?
I think there's a confidence in this team where I think there would be things that we would talk about. There would be things that would be, hey, here's a practice clip, or here is an example of it kind of happening somewhere else at some other school, for our team, our returners, to have gone through it and in big moments, accomplish the thing that they set out to do, to make the play, or to be in position and knock the ball down, or to get a sack, or to make a touchdown, or whatever it is. There's a grounded confidence now, and it's a whole different way of being. Whereas, prior, you're trying to prove it, you're trying to show it. Is it there? I believe it is, but is it there? And now to know that, we are that guy. I am that guy. I think that's a way, way different thing. And so leading from that space kind of can put you in more of an attack mode and more of a go take it mode. And so I think the hunger comes from that.
All right, we'll go to Jerry's.
Hey Dave, Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. You got 4 starting offensive linemen returning. Seems like you have better depth too. How good do you feel about that group?
I feel good. It's the most depth of any team I've been a part of, and so I think the ability for guys to have to push themselves to improve and to be focused and detailed with their work every day is the best it's ever been, and it's because there's dudes right behind them that are pushing them, trying to take that job, and so I think that's true at every position. But I think, that's for sure true on the O-line. I think their aggressiveness and their ability to communicate are the 2 things that separate them. I think the style of offense and the double teams and the vertical movement and the play action.
Choosing your own path.
I am proud of you.
Wanted to ask you about your running back room. I know you were just talking about the offensive line, but can you tell us what Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass are going to bring to that room this season?
Bryson brings a downhill quality. He can finish runs at the second level. He's got great vision, and so there's an RPO read component to the majority of our runs, so the line's kind of firing out on Monday, and then on Wednesday he's able to kind of see the cut or see the crease or see the the lane, and he doesn't miss very many of those. And so he makes his cut, and he's off and going downhill, So there's a great separation between the play starting and the run occurring, and he uses that to his advantage. I think, Dawson Pendergrass is one where there's a great patience, and he's slippery. It's hard to get a direct hit on him. I don't know if I've seen one on him. And so I think he also can benefit from the delayed, handoff and getting the ball and all the things, off of an RPO look. And so I think his ability to kind of stick behind an O-lineman, stick to a double team, and then, where is he, and then he shoots out in a C gap. Where is he, and he shoots out in an A gap. There's plenty of clips of him doing that. And so I think his best is yet to come. He's put on weight. He's the biggest that he's been. He's going to be more durable than what he's been in the past. I think his understanding of the offense has improved. And so I think with Bryce and Dawson really feel really strong about a really effective 1-2 punch, and kind of is the heartbeat of our team.
Center right to the back.
Alyssa Cooper with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Coach, with the growth and the changes within the Big 12, how do you approach that when building out the long-term plans for your program?
I think you have to make a concerted effort to recruit high school players. I think it's, there's such a pressure to win. We were talking earlier is that you want to be the team that, 4 years from now is taking planes to games and not taking buses to games. You want to be in that group. I think everybody feels that, and I think the winning and TV views and all the things are kind of pushing the narrative. And so to be able to develop players and to have relationships with parents and with high school kids, and take them from one phase or one level to a whole other level. And I wish in doing that it would be like this, but a lot of it is like this. And so, with all the pressure to win and the money that's involved in winning, sometimes you feel like you don't have time for this, for an individual player. But to be able to make that time and to make that a priority, and then to still win, is what we're trying to do. And I think building a great high school relationships, or building through great high school relationships, can build a really strong freshman, sophomore, junior, senior class, and we're hoping to do that.
Time for one final question, center left.
Hey, Coach. Zach Smith, Waco Trib. You talked about trying to get some respect. In a league like the Big 12 that has a lot of parity, do you feel like Baylor is an underdog or is under the radar in any fashion? And are you using that as motivation at all?
No. Yeah. I mean, I feel. I think it's good to be so focused on what you're doing, and to be so maniacal about getting it better and getting it right, and to be so hard on yourself that it pushes others to be hard on themselves. I think I would much rather it be so inward focusing that way than focused on what other people think or what other people are saying and all that. So I think from my seat with this team, there's been a great emphasis on kind of what's happening on the inside, and so I'd like to continue to push that and see how far we can take that.
Coach, thank you for your time today, and good luck this season.
Thank you, guys.
All right, there's Coach Dave Aranda. The Baylor Bears, I think it was an interesting question from the guy from the Waco Tribune who goes, are you guys feeling like you're kind of floating under the radar a little bit? And I said it to you before he even said it. I go, absolutely not. Are you kidding? He's in Texas, dude.
Yeah.
He's in Texas. There's no version of you going in there and people expecting something less out of you than – I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, there are fan bases here in the state of Texas. Texas and Texas A&M are in their own category. They're in the SEC. They're not in that category. But let me tell you what NIL and money and boosters and all that stuff has done for places like Waco, who have a lot of money, places like TCU, who have a crap ton of money and a bunch of big donors, and both of those programs have big success over the past couple of decades.
Texas Tech is now the story.
Tech might have the most money of anybody in the state of Texas, maybe except for Texas A&M. I mean, Texas, the University of Texas. Texas A&M has always been this team that is just like had money, and I think Texas Tech is that team now. I bet it goes Texas Tech, and then A&M when you start talking about dollars that are raised. And he said that, and I go, no, these fan bases who have so much money expect something so much more now. They don't give the money and then go, well, shoot, maybe one day we'll be good. It's like, you better use this money wisely, and if you don't, I'll actually personally make sure that you're out the door here. He's not flying under the radar at all. Everybody's expecting that they carry over that 6-game win streak into
They've won a
next year.
Big 12 championship under Dave Aranda, right? So it's quite the opposite. It's like he's got to be feeling pressure to perform at a certain level, not flying under the radar. They're not under the radar. Cincinnati would be a team flying under the radar in this league right now. It's not Houston, maybe. Not Baylor. The expectations are too high.
Baylor, I don't think so. I mean, it's like asking TCU that question. You're floating under the radar? It's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is a program that has had too much success in the last couple decades. People instead put you probably too much in the category of, I think they're ready to win.
Yeah.
But it also puts you at a spot, too, where the recruiting goes well. The talent level that they have at Baylor is increased so much more. They used to have such a hard time recruiting against even Texas Tech. I mean, but again, growing up here, TCU was terrible growing up, and they couldn't recruit against anybody in the South at all. They were competing with teams like UTEP and your FCS schools now. Or
BYU and Utah fans remember them from the end of the WAC days.
Right.
When SMU and TCU joined the league. It was like, they're a joke. Easy win, easy dub.
I remember my brother getting offers from high school, and the guy who played middle linebacker at his high school before he did got an offer to TCU and was like, oh, my gosh, don't come here. Imagine that, 30-plus years ago.
Yeah.
That's where those programs are at. TCU, SMU, Baylor, and I think Houston, I have no idea. And I think, again, money helps programs like Houston. There's no way that Houston, with the program like they have with basketball, they're in Houston, and Texas football in the state of Houston, Texas football in the city of Houston specifically is absolutely concentrated with talent. Yeah. Absolutely concentrated with talent. And so I can't imagine that Houston will be down much longer. But it's just another team that you add to the list of people you got to go through to be able to get a Big 12 championship. Teams like Utah and BYU are always going to be up against a lot of recruiting challenges.
You see all those logos on that wall right there. 16 teams. I believe 8 of them have a chance to win this, and the other 8 could make a case that they're being overlooked and that they have a chance. So a lot of good programs, a lot of good schools in this conference. We're just waiting for 1 or 2 to emerge as the flagship schools, the ones that are expected each and every year to compete for a national championship. That's what this conference is lacking.
Let's take another break here. We'll come back and we'll bring you as much as we can with these other interviews that are out there that we have from the podium and many others. So stay right here. Dialed into your Big 12 Media Days, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. JJ and Alex, stay right here with us.
Live from Frisco, Texas. This is the KSL Sports Zone coverage of the Big 12 Media Day. As we get you ready for the 2025 football season. Presented by Window World. High quality without high prices. That's the Window World way. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Big 12 Media Days continues live, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. As always, JJ, I know it's a shock. We're one of the first people here both days starting up on the radio broadcast, and we are definitely locking it down today. I don't see another live radio situation with headphones on that does the long...
They're sweeping. I think that means they want us to leave.
Well, what I was going to say was, so the people who left the booth next to us, they tore up the tape, and they're like, all right, we're going to get the facilities people are coming around. They're starting to try to tear down stuff, and they're looking at us going, thanks a lot, guys. Because they got to keep we got to keep this cord here. I was like, can we make sure and not kick us off the internet here real quick?
Jeez.
Paid a little bit of a pretty penny to be able to broadcast.
Yes.
All right, guys, let's do it. Our program today, we want to mention, as we do every day on JJ and Alex, the Hercules Hero of the Week program is where we honor the youth sports volunteer in your neighborhood, the person who goes the extra mile for the youth sports in your hood, in your part of Utah, wherever it might be. We want to be able to bring it to you. And the way that you nominate that youth sports volunteer is by going to kslsports.com/contest. You nominate that person there, and then, JJ, when we're back in the seat tomorrow in our freezing cold studio in Salt Lake City, boy, I miss it. We will be reading off a winner for you. It's all brought to you by the good folks at Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. So there you go. Let's dive in here. Yesterday we had a one-on-one conversation with him, but his podium comment's also very interesting too. To be able to hear from the person with the crown on the head, and by the way, he hates hearing that. I said, reigning champs of the Big 12, the coach of the reigning champion Big 12 Arizona State Sun Devils. He goes, I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to hear any of that. Hey,
sorry,
I don't want
any of that.
You earned it. I don't want to hear that. They don't want to be talked about as champions or anything. They feel like they haven't done a thing. And with good reason, he even brought it up. He goes, look, we've got a history. Coach Kenny Dillingham, we've got a history of winning a championship at some point. He goes, people have gone before me. There have been people who won championships, and then that was it, and then they fell off. And I don't want to be that guy. And I feel like he's the guy who could pull off a long-term success. Here's Kenny Dillingham from the podium yesterday, Big 12 Media Days right here in Dallas, Texas.
Hey, Coach. Leo Rivera with Scope Up Sports. You were recently awarded the Frank Kush Award. What could you say about that and your involvement within ASU and your relationship at that school?
Yeah, obviously me being born and raised in Arizona, that's something I don't take lightly. You know, Frank Kush is the best coach to ever have coached there. And he was somebody that I think everybody who was in the coaching industry looked up to in some way, shape, or form, especially if you're in Arizona and grew up an Arizona State fan.
Okay, we'll go to center right.
Tyler Budge, CF Budge. Coach, when I spoke to you last year at Big 12 Media Days, you talked about how for a program looking to turn things around, learning how to win is a key aspect of that. At what point last year do you feel like something clicked where you guys learned how to win, and how do you hope that carries over for this season?
Yeah, I think, I go back to a game where we struggled in the first half, and then in the second half, we took the lead with a big touchdown. They came back with about 3 minutes and 45 seconds left. They scored. Then our quarterback goes in the huddle, freshman quarterback goes in the huddle and says, we're about to march down and score again. And Sam throws it to JT, touchdown. And it was a game where JT overcame adversity versus Kansas, and Sam showed that he can do it in the biggest moments. And I think that was one of the times that I said, okay, our offense can win games for us at the end. And then there were times on defense where at the end of the first half versus UCF, even though it wasn't the end of the game, we had a big-time pick six at the end of that first half. So I think throughout the season, all the phases affected winning, and it became contagious. But the fun thing is, last year has nothing to do with this year. When you're in college football, when you're in sports, you may as well throw the book out and you start from scratch. Everybody starts with the same record. Just some people get looked at more, and people play harder verse. So it's actually harder to sustain success in sports than other things.
We'll go center left, fourth row.
Hi, Kenny. Devil's Digest. Take us back to that first meeting you had in January and the team came from winter break. What was the main message you were trying to implore on them, and how do you feel they exemplified that message in spring practice and also off the field?
That it's over. You had your time to celebrate. You had your time where people are going to tell you how good you are. I showed all the things on the screen of all the tweets of you're really good and you're really good and what a year and everybody loves us. Then I said, okay, is everybody good? Has everybody read enough positive? Can we get to reality? And the reality is we're 0-0. The reality is there's been a lot of teams in college football who have done what we've done, who have won 1 year and then come back to reality. We really didn't do anything special. We did something that's actually normal. We were just the team that accomplished that normal that year. What would be special would be to continue to build off of that. And that was the real challenge. How do we not become what normal teams in our situation do, which is fall back to where we've always been?
Front row.
Hey, Coach. Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. I wanted to ask you about Jordan and just what his development has been this offseason as he prepares for the upcoming season. And what have you seen change in him mentally as well as physically to prepare?
Yeah, mentally, I think Hines Ward coming in last year, I think JT has really taken what Coach Ward has said in terms of preparation and what it takes to be successful at the next level, and he's really embodied that. You know, he showed up, and now he's a guy who's early, a guy who's always getting treatment, a guy who doesn't leave the building, a guy who's always up watching extra tape. His preparation to be great is something that I'm super proud of, and because of that, he's gained over 10 pounds, and he's 1.5 miles faster than he was this time last year because he's preparing like a pro, and there's not anybody else better to show you what that looks like than a guy like Hines Ward at that position, a guy who embodies work ethic, a guy who embodies being successful over a long period of time. So I think he's really just leaned into what Coach Ward has said. He's bought into it, and he's gone all in.
We'll go center left, forefront.
Hey, Kenny, Scott Bordeaux, ESU News. Have you had a conversation with Sam about how to handle the attention that's coming his way? And second part of that question, how do you think he will handle that?
Yeah, we've had a conversation. I said, don't worry, everybody else will tell you you're good. I'm going to tell you you suck, right? So we can, be transparent there. I'll be the one to humble you. But no, in all fairness, Sam has such big dreams and goals for himself that anything he reads about isn't probably as big as the goals and dreams he has for himself. And I think that's what drives him, is he wants to be the best. So it doesn't matter what somebody writes, doesn't matter what somebody says. You're probably not dreaming as big as he is dreaming. And even though some people may hear him say things and you're like, oh, well, that's cocky, that's arrogant, or that dream isn't real, don't you want somebody to achieve the very best version of what they believe they can do? And if you don't believe you can do something, you're never going to do it. And I think Sam embodies that. His confidence is not cockiness because he works and he prepares and he loves it. So I love the fact that he's confident, and I think it's only going to fuel him to be the best version of himself.
We'll go center right in the back.
Hi, Coach. David Howman with Devils in Detail. On that same vein, with Sam Levitt being such a high-profile player coming into this season, being mentioned for Heisman consideration, how much do you embrace that side of things and kind of promote his Heisman candidacy while also not risking him reading too much of his own press clippings?
Yeah, I think, I know Sam, and I know that the press clippings aren't going to be relevant to what he wants to accomplish. So it's definitely somebody that we can get behind in making that push. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of guys on our football team that can win these individual awards. The only way you win an individual award is through team success. That's why football is so great. It's the ultimate definition of you pour into other people, and those other people lift you up more higher than you could ever do by yourself. And I think that's the message to our football team this year, is if people want individual success, if people want to reap individual benefits, then our team has to be the best version that we can be, because that's how you actually get those individual accolades in football, is through team success.
We're going to go fourth row.
Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Jarrett Ramirez from RedditorSports.com. You tweeted back in May that you 100% agreed Texas Tech had the talent to win the Big 12. I'm just curious for your thoughts on their team and playing those guys at your place this year.
Yeah, they beat our butt last year, and they added a lot of really good players to their football team. I mean, a ton of really good players. I mean, they probably had the best portal haul of any team in college football. Already on a good football team with a good football coach and a fun environment to play at. So Yeah, I mean, people read into things I do. I just tell people the truth. So I saw a tweet I liked, and I'm like, yeah, they're right. They do have the talent to win the league. And I think anybody who says they don't have the talent to win the league is absolutely delusional. I bet if you ask Coach McGuire, his expectation is to win the league. And they've built a team to win the league, not to compete, to win it. So it's a great challenge.
Salt Lake Film Society asks, who will...
Fort Worth Star-Telegram. When Brian Carrington was here on staff at TCU, he obviously did great things recruiting, but he was always adamant he wanted to be an on-the-field coach. I'm curious, what did you see/know about him that made you want to give him that opportunity, and what type of impact has he made on the program since he joined you guys?
Yeah, he's smart. I think football is actually easy to coach. The hard part is the dynamics of the people, is being able to manage your room. You know, I could teach anybody how to coach, how to teach a thirds back pedal, and how to middle, and how to make a drive call. Those are simple things. What's difficult is understanding, leading, motivating people. That's the challenge. That's the job of a coach, is to get a player who gives effort at an 8 and get him to a 9.5. It's not to teach him all these schematics. The schematics are great. There's a minimum standard of what you have to know, and most people know them in the coaching industry. The great guys understand people, and he was a guy who always understood people. So I said, well, let's help him learn the game of football at a higher level, because I already know he can motivate, he can engage, and he can teach, and he can communicate. So let's help him on the side that I think is easier, which is football. Easier to teach somebody football than people skills.
Center left in the back.
Alyssa Cooper, also with the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. So the Big 12 has grown and changed over the past couple of years, and I was just wondering, how does that impact the way that you recruit players in terms of the expansion and the level of competition that they'll be playing?
Yeah, I don't know if it affects how we recruit players. You know, we had a strategy when I got the job here to really recruit California, recruit Texas, recruit the state of Arizona, and then recruit a few other areas. But that was our strategy from the beginning. You know, I like to say Arizona is if California and Texas like mixed together. You kind of get Arizona that's just in the middle there. So if you're a Texas kid that wants to go out west, well, but you're not sold on living all the way out west, well, Arizona's the perfect spot. If you're a California kid who wants to go to the south, but you don't want to go all the way to the south, well, just come on over to Arizona. We're kind of that perfect in the middle grass. So that was our strategy in recruiting. They both happen to be, you know, 2 of the top 4, wherever you want to put them, states to produce NFL players. So I think we sit regionally right in a really good spot for both those schools. And us transitioning to the Big 12, we play more games in Texas. We're at Big 12 Media Days right now. We have 3 different kids' families, moms, dads, cousins, uncles here with them for Big 12 Media Days. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to come back to their state and really represent.
Again, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll go to center right.
Hi, Coach. Cody Nesper, Golden Blue Nation. Do you feel that the preseason poll hurt you last year? And what do you think about getting rid of it?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to like this answer. I could care less, and I'd have no clue. I'm not a voter, and I don't really care where people put us. Vote us first, vote us last, vote us in the middle. If we're so focused on other people's expectations of us, then you're going to limit yourself. Who knows? Are we supposed to win 6 games? Are we supposed to win 9 games? Are we supposed to go undefeated? Are we supposed to win 0? Who really knows? All I know is when we show up to work, we should be the very best version of ourselves. And if we compete in something, you better compete to win. And you better compete to be the very best version of yourself every day, over and over again, and you block out the noise.
We'll go third row, center left.
Kevin Turner, Sun Devil Radio Network. Kenny,
former player.
100 years ago with leather helmets. Real quick question. I know you're a big self-scout guy. After the 3-win season, you acquiesced. You turned over the offensive play calling to Marcus Arroyo. What is next for Kenny Dillingham from a self-scout? What do you need to improve upon for the 2025 season?
Special teams is something we need to improve upon. You know, I want to be more aggressive. You know, we called a few fakes last year. They were successful. I think transitioning from an offensive coordinator role that coaches quarterbacks, you're never really involved in special teams, because during special teams periods, you're an individual with the quarterback. So one piece of my coaching I would say, knowledge. I was lacking in that area because I never actually worked in that space because I was always coaching quarterbacks and individual. So I think giving up play calling, getting into that world of special teams, I feel like I can help a lot more like I do on offense and defense. I can be way more involved in the special teams phase like I was at the end of last year. And one thing that I think is there for the taking is more fakes. I mean, I don't care if our opponents know it. Like, more fakes, the success rate of fakes are so high that more fakes need to be called on the punt team, on field goal, and I only think it helps your special teams as a whole. You just got to be prepared that when it doesn't work and you guys tell us how bad of a decision that was, you got to be okay to be like, yeah, that was dumb, right? Even if it wasn't, you got to be willing to accept it and take the blame for when it doesn't work.
We'll go center left.
Coach, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, having Cam Scattaboo last year was a great luxury. Now you got a whole different running back room. Just talk about the running backs that are here now taking over for Cam.
Yeah, obviously we get Sit back. He's bigger, stronger, faster than he was last year. He looks very good in spring ball. I was very pleased. Raleek Brown's a guy who showed up last year who had to medically redshirt because of a hamstring. He's back to full strength. He's also gained 20 pounds. He's about 200 pounds now. Showed up in our program at 175. So I'm very excited for what he can do this next year leading up. And then you got Udo, who obviously transferred in, who's transitioning to the spread offense or the pro-style spread from the triple option. So there is a learning phase there, but he grew and grew and grew throughout spring. So I think they all have a different skill set that they can provide to mitigate what we're losing in Scat, because not one person can replace Scat. His play style was so unique that you have to have multiple people replace him.
Welcome back. There you go. Kenny Dillingham. Don't you love that guy's attitude? Coach, I love how Brett Yormark and the conference and the rest of the conference, too, is able to apologize for, here's why we're making the decision to not have the poll. Because Arizona State got shorted last year. They were supposed to finish last in the conference, and then guess what? The poll put them so far down. That poll, by the way, it's just you and I talking about it. It's just this group of media people that are here. And then Kenny Dillingham gave the real answer. Actually, you're not going to like this answer. I don't care. I didn't look at it. I don't care. And I don't think so. And I don't know if
How did the preseason poll impact the league last year?
They didn't get a good enough look. They weren't ranked fast enough. Guess what ended up happening? They still ended up ranked 4th in the country when the college football playoff
BYU had
came
every opportunity, if they just beat Kansas, to make it.
They would have
to
been
get to the
10-0.
Big 12.
They would
Some
have been
dumb preseason poll, and I'm saying that as a member of the media, some dumb preseason poll does not impact that whatsoever.
I agree.
There's been plenty of teams that were unranked that made runs.
There's Kenny Dillingham. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour, and then we'll get you ready. We've got tons still locked and loaded for you next hour. Coach Kyle Whittingham, Mark Harlan, and the newest quarterback of the University of Utah, Devon Dampier, are going to join us as well. That conversation we had earlier today. So stay here at 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
The 2025 football season is nearly here, and it's time to hear from all of the coaches and players.
Yeah, boy!
This is Big 12 Media Day, live from Frisco, Texas. Media Day coverage on The Zone is brought to you by Window World. Call Window World for free quotes on windows, doors, and siding today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. Big 12 Media Days. Thanks for being with us on the last couple days of the broadcast. We've got lots to break down when we get back to Salt Lake City. Also got an hour packed ahead of Coach Kyle Whittingham, Coach Mark Harlan. Mark Harlan, the athletic director, and then Devon Dampier, the new quarterback for the University of Utah. Our program brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith brand of dealerships in American Fork, Spanish Fork, and in Linden. So check it out. Nobody knows cars like Doug. And Trajan Wealth, we appreciate their support always of the program. TRAJAN Wealth.com. Trajan Wealth for all your trusted local needs in retirement. JJ, takeaways from 2 days of mind-numbing, absolute, so many things to try to break down in the next 90 seconds here. What do you got?
Macro, this conference is in a good place, but somebody needs to step up and become a national force in order for this league to reach its full potential. Micro, I think BYU and Utah are in positions to have a great season. If BYU can get whatever decent quarterback play they need, they've got the defense. Utah, if Devon Dampier is a real deal and they can keep him healthy, they're going to do much better than 5-7 this year, and they could be a factor for a title. I
think he's a real deal. You know, it's good news for Utah too. He's going to be here this year. He's got to be here next year.
Right.
All things hoping that he's healthy, right? So,
and you see this year the amount of quarterbacks that are coming back and the impact that's having on those programs.
Before we get out this hour, I want to thank Stone, our producer here on site, who's done a phenomenal job over the last couple of days. We've thrown a lot of love his way, but he deserves every bit of it. And then, of course, our producers all day long, Christian Esparza, our fearless leader, Lloyd Cole, and then, of course, Alex Napolis, who's our producer right now. So for all of them and for JJ and myself, Alex Kirry, we'll be back again just right around the corner. So stay right here with us, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. It is Big 12 Media Days here in Frisco, Texas, as we're trying to sneak in some. I look at Big 12 Media Days. Here are the teams who are here today. TCU. We've got Colorado right next to us here at this table, and then we've got all the obviously University of Utah. Kansas is here in person. I just saw Coach Lance Leipold. We're anticipating a phone call with Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan just here momentarily. Who's going to be joining the program, and so when we get him on, as soon as we get him on, we are going to go straight to Mark Harlan. Fascinating conversation we had yesterday with BYU's new athletic director, and one of the interesting things that he brought up was immediately, as soon as he got off, Brian Santiago got off the plane in Orlando for the business meetings of the Big 12. Mark Harlan was that person getting off the plane, or when he was getting off the plane, greeting him there. And he joins us right now on the program from Big 12 Media Days. Mark Harlan, athletic director for the University of Utah. Mark, we missed you here in person, man, but thanks for joining the program. Hey, Mark.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I heard PK was going to be there, and I was like, I got other things I can get done up here, so I thought I'd call in.
I love it. You avoided PK.
That was nice of you to.
Well, am I talking to Whittingham here? What is it?
Whit did just harass PK for the last few minutes.
Mark, I was going to take you out to the finest steakhouse tonight, man. It was going to be on me.
Oh, wow.
For the first time.
I didn't know, but I did do you guys a favor. I was driving to a meeting, and I could tell that you guys are getting a little annoyed by my guy's swoop, so I did send a text.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
My favorite thing is that Hans got a lap dance from Swoop at Big 12 Media Days. It
was rough.
It was my favorite thing that happened.
I'm going to hold to this. I really do think that Devon Dampier's brother was in that Swoop costume, running as the hype man.
Oh, that was amazing.
I thought, you know what? There's many things the AD has to do, but I pulled over and sent a quick text. So did he fly away?
He
or is he still in your grill?
I was going to say, I thought that maybe you had sent the text to go over. Here's what Hans looks like. Let's go get him.
Go find him.
Mark, we were just having a conversation because yesterday we chatted with Brian Santiago, and he said, you know what, and we asked him about the relationship that he's already had with you and just trying to kind of get into that role down at BYU, and he said, you know what, one of the first people who, when I got off the plane in Orlando for those business meetings, was Mark Harlan, and he put his arm around me, and we chatted about, some of the things, and he just talked about the hospitality of it. How important is that to you to make sure that, all the ADs seem to have a pretty good relationship, but obviously a new one comes into the fold, even if it's down at the team down south, you're gonna put your arm around him and say, hey man, welcome to the club.
Yeah, no, he's a really good man. I got great appreciation for somebody that, started where he did in that organization and just grinded and worked his way up. And, these are tough jobs, but they're tough in the job he's had too. So I've got great appreciation for him. And Tom had always told me how Brian was such an important part of the organization. It's kind of like Charmel Green is here in my senior group. So, yeah, Brian and I really got a chance to steal away and just talk about a lot of different things. And, he joked about how different the chair is and how it already feels. And we talked a little bit about that. But, the secret is, and you guys know, like Tom and I would talk all the time about stuff, and it's going to be the same way with Brian because we got issues we got to solve together. We compete, and we compete in the living rooms as we joke around, and we compete on the fields and courts. But everything else, we're kind of aligned in the things that need to happen. There's a lot of legislative issues that he and I went and saw a bunch of legislators on the Hill. Tom and I were just in, before he retired, we were just in D.C. together meeting with the senators. I mean, that stuff's really important. And I think both of us being really good is important on the field. And doesn't mean we won't want to get after them, just like they want to get after us. But we work a lot. So maybe the secret's out now, right?
Mark, I'm curious because we had Kyle Whittingham and he was just sitting in the chair a little bit ago, and we were talking back and forth about his years in the business, and he was talking about hiring Coach Beck, and he said, I brought in Morgan Scally because he's coaching waiting. I felt like he was owed that. I want to go back to the contract negotiations with Morgan Scally and the decisions by you and Kyle and that front office to issue him the coach in waiting. Kind of walk us through that process and what that meant to you and what that meant to Morgan in that time.
Yeah, well, I just, this whole thing that we do is all about people that are talented and people that care about young people, whether they're coaching or whether they're administrator, right? I mean, that's the thing. And so when you have somebody of the talents of Morgan, you gotta make sure that you do everything you can to keep that person in place and continue to provide the value to the organization. It's pretty simple, leadership 101 about surrounding everybody with the best you can. So really, two things came to mind, and they were all based on the fact that I knew how good Morgan was. Remember, this is my 9th season coming up. I've been around Morgan for a long time. Crazy. And I, Whit and I had talked about it off and on the first 3 or 4 years I was here. Fast forward, listen, the guy gets calls, right? Let's just be candid. I mean, He's the best defensive coordinator in the country, and time and time again. So he's getting calls. And so it made sense for us to really think about the future with Morgan, and that's where we really started diving into it. Coaching waiting comes with good and bad and everything in between, and I recognize that. Bad because, things can get weird at any different time, but I knew Morgan would be able to handle any of that. So, it's just made a lot of sense for us. The second thing, it's really helped us, and we really have noticed this in this recruiting class. This is coming together to be one of our better classes we've had in a while. That comes up, and for a parent to see who's next, whenever next is a real asset to the organization, and we've really seen that over these last couple of recruiting cycles. So anyway, it just made a lot of sense, and it's nice in this world of instability. It's nice to have that kind of stability as we move forward.
We had the House settlement, and I know you guys, University of Utah's all in with the $20.5 million, but you also got the NIL with this other commission that you're going to have to run stuff through. Stories are starting to come out now with Texas Tech, with their big money, giving guys 3-year deals and all that stuff, and you're like, well, what's going on here? There's a lot of confusion, so I'm going to ask you a question. How much clarity do you have about the whole situation? Because it seems like it's all over the map.
I would say I put it in two categories. What is clarity for me and the organization is certainly the cap. That's a big deal. Don't want to underestimate that. The fact that everybody can spend 20.5 if you go over. There's $7 million+ penalties. This is a federal settlement. This isn't just some negotiating in a back room. This is a federal signed by a federal judge settlement. So excited about that. Excited that payroll, if you want to call it that, began here last Tuesday. And we're settling into that, and that's a big change. That's helpful. In terms of NIL, listen, I think that the NIL Go program is very interesting. We've been on it now for a month. Our athletes submit their deals. They get rejected or they don't. Most of them have been accepted. That's a range of compensation. It's a very slick system, very easy, and all that's great. The thing that's not totally clear is how is compliance going to be handled. I like the structure of it in terms of the new president. I think he's really talented. I think he's surrounding himself with a great team. But until they go after somebody that's blatantly cheating, i.e. not submitting their NIL deals or promising a junior in high school these things, all the things that are going on, the coaches are going to continue to be, and as such the athletic director is very suspect that we did all this work when there's not compliance. So until someone is nailed and proven and that coach is suspended and that kid is taken off the field or, whatever might happen, the coaches are going to just be shaking their heads. So I'm hopeful. This is outside the NCAA. They have subpoena power. There's more teeth than I've seen, but we got to see it happen.
Yeah. Mark, we've been talking a lot about scheduling, a ton about scheduling, and I know you got UCLA out of the gates, and we talked to Brett Yormark about scheduling and the importance it plays for this conference and stability. And it feels like the scheduling in football is changing more towards the kind of legislature of the scheduling in basketball, where you schedule the big names, and if you lose, it's not as painful as maybe having a lesser name and struggling a little bit, maybe losing and falling completely off the face of the earth. What is your philosophy right now moving forward? And I know it's UCLA out of the gates, and that's a great game, and fans are excited about it. And we've watched some of the openings through Pac-12 where it was Michigan or Florida, and it's been good stuff through the University of Utah. But what is your philosophy, and how much do you want to try to flex with the SEC or Big Ten scheduling in the future?
Well, I think it's going to come down to a lot to where is the CFP going to fall? If we get to 16, we get to a 5-11 format, then you're definitely going to have more space to operate and be able to get in there. We already have one AQ, set up in the system. So, if that doesn't expand, then you're really going to have to be careful because, you can overschedule. There's no question. You got to be careful on that. But don't know if you guys are aware, but within the Big 12, there is you have to have that 10th game has to be, a Power 4 school. So that's contractually in there. We're always, look at our schedule ahead. We've got, Arkansas coming in. We got LSU on the schedule. We got Wisconsin on the schedule. I think that's really important for our fan base. It's important for our program. But a big part of your question is going to be answered for all of us if this thing moves to 16. Because then you could start thinking about that 11th game maybe even being another big game. But we'll wait and see where that goes.
Part of it has to do with, how much teams get penalized for losses in football versus, basketball, where you're encouraged to make these big-time, rolls of the dice on other opponents, and you're not dinged as hardcore. Obviously there's a lot more games, but, yeah, 16-team playoff, that's going to add to it. Brett Yormark brought up the strength of places like Utah and how additive you guys have been to this conference. And when you look at what – I can't believe it's year 9, by the way, that you're going into this thing. It's crazy. But as you see this thing going, how much has this program grown in this last few years, and obviously getting into the Big 12, and how much more growth do you think can happen in the short term here for this Utah program?
Well, listen, our ceiling continues to be very high, and we've just established such credibility. The brand has grown. You don't go to back-to-back Rose Bowls and back-to-back championships without the whole nation knowing. Obviously last year was a difficult year. It happens in sports. The way we're investing, the way Kyle's been able to keep this staff together and make hard changes when he's needed to. We're selling out again. We sold out again season tickets. We got the infrastructure here to be great. And, the fact that we were able to retain our great players, you don't retain everybody. No one retains everybody. Texas Tech didn't retain everybody, right? That's just the way it is. And, continuing to move forward. The GM position that we've seen in basketball is also really getting up to speed in football with Kyle's staffing structure. So, we're continuing to move forward. And I think, obviously when I went in front of the football team in January and there was 47 new guys. Now, mind you, the year before there was like 17, right? And I think the way our staff is adapting to integrate these guys in a fast way and build a team, which has been a little different for Utah, right? It really has. But I've seen how far they've come. And I just think that now we're kind of in a place where we're really ready to start thriving once again in this environment. So excited about what Coach has done and that staff, and certainly know that we got a real exciting year ahead.
Mark, no Arizona on the schedule. No Arizona on the schedule this year, and we got to make this quick. Why not?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why not play the four corner schools every single year in this Big 12?
Yeah, I'll be quick on this. We the four ADs asked for as much as we could to do that. So basically, we're always going to have at least three of them on the schedule on every year. More of that would have really thrown out of balance for everybody else. But if you look at it on most years ahead, this is the year we miss Arizona. But on most years we'll have them. Obviously, with us playing BYU every year, so it's way more intentional than just missing one. As long as we're getting 75% of that group, because it's good for our fans, good for travel, etc.
Yeah. Mark Harlan, athletic director for the University of Utah, nice enough to carve out some time in his busy schedule. We miss you being here in person, Mark, but we're glad to have you on. Thanks for carving out some time in your schedule.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
There you go.
Yeah,
Mark Harlan.
I'm glad I don't have to see him.
You heard the click before he said that. He waited for the click, and then he goes, yeah, good riddance.
Alex said, well, we miss you. Well, I knew PK was going to be there.
You said
Guys,
PK's there, right?
They all hate me up
Right
there,
decision.
man.
Would you tell him he looks like Kevin Farkas?
I love how there's a first name to Farkas
It's
now.
like Scott or something.
Scott Farkas. Hey,
I think I did, man.
I got to go back like 8 years ago, Alex, and Christian McCaffrey walks up and PK goes, do we need to get you a booster seat, little guy?
I didn't say
You
that.
said, do we need to get you a booster seat,
I did not. I
little
said,
guy?
man, you really do look small. Because he was sensitive to that.
And
that's a good thing to bring up.
He put on the headset and just blank stared us. It's like, all right, well, that was Christian McCaffrey.
Tell me what market this is. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Well,
how about Herm Edwards? I said, dude, tell me why you're not going to get fired. Well, I haven't lost the game yet.
Well, listen, let me say something. Like, at least you got an answer out of him.
By the way, with the whole Herm Edwards recruiting through COVID, then getting fired, and then all the sanctions placed on Arizona State,
it makes it
I
even
thought
more
it was
insane.
going to be 5 or 6 years before they could recover. And
yeah, I don't think you're alone.
Makes it even more insane what they did.
That came quick.
It makes Kenny Dillingham a way better coach than we probably give him credit for. A guy who came in and was 34 and a half years old or whatever, and came in and did what he did.
He was 33 when he got the job.
That's crazy.
Hey, PK, how much
last year, man?
How much of what Arizona State did was Scatterbo?
I think that it was a lot. It was actually more than his on-field production, which was incredible because he was the heart and soul of the team. There's stuff like we saw with Batty. I've seen stuff that ASU's put out on their social media, in terms of guys, I'm talking, you're listening, that type of stuff. So I think that we see the on-field production, and DJ said it best. He says, when I watch Cam Scatterbo play, I laugh. And I thought that really sums it up because you just can't believe what he would do. And you go, oh, my gosh, you find yourself laughing.
Oh, he's so fun
to
watch.
He really was. And my wife came down to the ASU game with me and sat in the ASU section right behind the Scatterbo family. She said they were highly entertaining, too, watching them, the mom and dad and everybody during the game. But I actually think that they're talking about, and it's where I think they don't really realize as much, they're talking about the on-field production, which was a lot. But I also think this the spiritual nature of guys, get on my back here. I think that is going to be missed. You can get guys to carry the ball. We all understand that. But I've found, and I've been covering college football for many, many years, when you have those strong leaders like a Connor Pay was last year with BYU, those types of kids make a difference. In Utah's first year in the Pac-12, season was getting away, and Tony Bergstrom, local kid, played in the NFL, offensive lineman. He told me, we're not going to go out this way. We're going to have a winning record. Mm-hmm. And I remember it's like in the middle of the season when they were struggling, and they ended up winning 8 games that year. Mm-hmm. Norm Chow taking a Division III guy. What was John something was his name?
John White.
John Hayes.
John Hayes.
Oh, it was Hayes, yeah.
Yeah. And masterful job. And Norm doesn't need me to compliment him. He stands on his own. But the point I'm making is that leadership that, guys, this is not going to go sideways here. We're going to get this thing right. You got guys who can catch and run and block and all that stuff, but I need to see who's going to take his spot doing that because he was the spiritual leader of that team also.
I think we, having Mark Harlan on and then having the Diana Sabo news from yesterday, we were all kind of looking at Mark and being like, he's just using this as a stepping stone at the beginning, right? I can't believe
a little bit, yeah.
I can't believe it's been 9 seasons.
A little bit.
And you know what's crazy? Is that it's been a wild ride, I think, for him.
It has.
For Kyle to be on there.
Some up and downs.
He's really dug in.
Well,
but Utah's a big time program. You don't need to go chasing something else.
That's what I'm saying is that I think that people just assume like there's that little bit of that the holdover of but there's always other bigger schools. It's like not really out west anymore.
There might be, but you don't want to mess with Happy.
There are bigger markets for sure, but
just in terms of Mark Harlan, there's been a couple of rough edges with Mark Harlan, and you can see Utah fans get upset with him at times.
Right.
I think that he is standing on a current hire that could really change the perception. This Alex Jensen hire could really help kind of correct how Utah fans
feel.
They've
got to hit with Alex.
It's got to hit, PK.
If they're not hitting with Alex, who are they hitting with?
I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel like Alex is the absolute right man at the right time to put in there.
The boosters wanted it. Everybody wants it. The fans wanted it. And now he's got to go do a job.
You just got to see some W's now.
And get some kids in there. Yeah, I was the beat writer for University of Utah when Alex was a freshman. So I was the beat writer for his first game for the Tribune, and I was the beat writer for his last game, just to give you an idea of my connection to Alex. And it doesn't surprise me that he's the coach because the guy walked and breathed the intricacies of basketball. And so coaching X's and O's that's as good as it's going to get. He's got to get some momentum going in recruiting, and he's coming in at a time that BYU is just this juggernaut, unbelievable thing going on to a shock of us all. So it's going to be a tough job, but I do believe he's the right man for the job.
Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back. Appreciate Mark Harlan carving out some time in his busy schedule, and stay right here. More to go. It is your Big 12 Media Days live in Frisco, Texas. Stay right here with us. Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan, Alex Kirry, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best coverage of the Utes and Cougars as they get ready for the 2025 season.
Ready?
You're locked on to Big 12 Media Day coverage, live from Frisco, Texas. Presented by Window World. Want a window quote without all the baloney? High quality, amazing prices. Check out Window World today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hey, tomorrow, when we are back in Salt Lake after Media Days finalizes here in Frisco, Texas at the Star, Hans and Scotty are going to be out at
Kyle's coming right now.
Hans and Scotty are going to be over at RGS Exteriors starting up noon to 3 tomorrow. So I think we're walking over Kyle Whittingham here.
We is.
Trying to weave through the
madness. Those calves are so
the
massive.
disaster of all the
getting through the rows.
That's why Witt's Calves has his own Twitter account. So Kyle Whittingham walking up here as we get him ready with the headset on here. Another year, and these guys. He's got farm. Yeah, Hans does have the farm strength. What about PK?
I got nothing.
Witt's gonna put the headset on here.
We're gonna get this headset on without breaking it.
Now, one of my
he did that one year, didn't he?
Yeah, he broke the thing.
Was
right
it Pac-12?
He was so intense.
He didn't
broke
throw
it in
it,
half,
right?
and he's like, and then he threw it on the ground. He's like, "You fix it."
I know. It's
Coach Kyle Whittingham is joining us here at Media Days.
Tell me if this. Coach, you tell me if you can pick this up when we go like this. Looks like they got you pushing too many pencils.
No,
what movie is that?
Is that Predator when he goes?
Yeah. They
Dylan, you son of a.
Yeah, they got you pushing too many pencils, Dylan. Could you have guessed it?
No, I'm not a Predator guy. I saw it one time way back, 40 years ago.
Are you not a Schwarzenegger movie guy?
In general, yes. He's
Oh,
had some
okay.
good,
But
he's
just
had
not
some good-
Predator.
Yeah, that's
He likes
not
that True Lies scene with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, yeah. There you
Who
go.
doesn't? do it, Dusimo. Who
Coach,
doesn't?
Coach, thanks for being with us.
More Schwarzenegger or more Sly Sylvester? Are you more like a Stallone?
They're
or
kind
you-
of different. They're two different categories.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say both of them.
We did the thing where we made the mistake of rewatching Rambo 2.
Did you say mistake?
I'm watching it. I hadn't seen it in years, and I'm watching it. And my kid, I'm saying with my kids, and I'm like, and we're watching it, and he's like, Dad, this is terrible. I'm like, listen, I'm here for the action, brother, because the acting is no good.
There's nothing terrible
You
about
go
that.
back and you watch the acting and you want to die. It's terrible. Speaking of PK.
He's not terrible.
No. Speaking of PK, he keeps bringing up your age, Coach, and and you know why?
Bring up his age.
And
You asked me how old he was.
Well, but he goes.
He and I are kind of close there.
He goes, how do I know? Because we're just a few days apart, and. We had Coach Richrod on, and he goes, "Man, me and Kyle Whittingham, man, we're the old guys." And I'm like, "Hey, pump the brakes here on the old guy talk." I know that everybody brings that up, but the tenure part of it is the part that I think interests us because it's been such a journey, and man, you've seen every version of college football in your time.
I have.
What's the 2025 version look like for you, and how is it that you're looking at it and going, we've gotten here to this point, and what are the difficulties in 2025 present for the
Well,
youth?
first of all, I'm excited about this team. I think we got a good group coming back, and a lot of things going for us. Starting up front, we feel good about the line of scrimmage, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. We got 2 projected first-round offensive tackles, which is a great starting point. The 3 kids inside are all seniors and have played some really good football for us. So that's where it starts offensively. We're excited about our QB, Devon Dampier, the transfer from New Mexico. He was terrific last year. Over 1,000 yards rushing, 2,500 yards passing. There's only been 4 quarterbacks in NC2A history that have done that, if my sources are correct.
We just had him in the seat. What a great
Did you?
kid.
Yeah, he is a great kid. And on top of that, terrific leader. I mean, he was 2-3 weeks into his tenure at Utah, his time at Utah, he was voted to the Leadership Council, which is unheard of, to be around for a couple of weeks. And
He bought in immediately.
He did, and the players took to him. He's got a great personality. He's charismatic. Is that a word?
Yeah,
charismatic.
yeah.
Charisma.
Just like me.
You nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly like PK.
Oh, boy.
And defensively, we should be, we've been good for decades, literally, on defense, so I don't expect anything different this year. And so excited about the possibilities. Of course, you got to go out and do it. And, nobody's going to do anything in the preseason. You got to go out and prove it on the field. And one thing that's becoming increasingly more difficult for you guys is to prognosticate who's going to be good with teams turning over.
They took the rights away from us.
We weren't allowed to vote this year.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody.
Did you know that? They didn't even do a preseason
I didn't know that.
poll.
What would you do? What was your egregious offense to put yourself in that situation?
Well, they said, Yormark said that it hurt teams.
Oh,
I don't really understand it, honestly, but it's a stupid poll. Who really cares?
But anyway, I don't think we're alone in the fact that we replaced, 54% of our roster this year, and so becoming increasingly difficult to determine who's going to win conference championship, who's going to be where, and there's going to be so much change in college football from year to year, much more than there used to be.
So, speaking of change, a little bit of change in your coaching staff. I'm curious about your interview process because when I saw the offensive coordinating position was open, I put my name in. I didn't get the call back.
Me too.
Yeah, and PK put his name in. He actually called. PK called me. He's like, "Has he called you?"
I put it in for head coach.
But take us through your hiring process. How many guys do you interview? Do you get outside of kind of who you know and what you've met at different coaching functions, and then how do you zero in on Coach Beck?
Well, it started with just watching tape, and me and Coach Scally, I involved Coach Scally with it. With him being the coach in waiting, it was he deserved to have a say and be able to be part of the evaluation process. And so we together did our research independently of each other. We didn't do it at the same time, and I think we formally interviewed 2 guys. I think 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly, but because I lose track of who I talked to on the phone and in person and all that. But it came down to being very impressed with what New Mexico was doing on offense, the innovation, the creativity, just the way that he called the plays and utilized formations and personnel. We became intrigued with that. And so when we got together after our independent analysis, we both arrived at the same conclusion that Jason Beck would be a great fit for us, and just so happened he had a great quarterback that was only a sophomore, and so when Jason came over, that piqued Devon's interest and went in the portal, and of course we recruited him and ended up choosing Utah, and so it was a 2-for-1 in a lot of respects.
I think we're seeing that a little bit, Kyle. We saw it with Oklahoma, with Washington State and all that, and
it's like in the old days, particularly in basketball, if you wanted a kid, hire his high school coach, and that's a package deal. So you anticipate this happening more, that if I could bring you a player or two, I could get the job.
Well, you certainly project that, and that's part of the process, and we, having Devon be able to operate in the exact same offensive scheme that he did last year and was so successful at is a big plus for him individually. If spring is any indication, he's going to be an exciting guy to watch this fall.
Scary, I think, is what his teammates were saying, too.
It was fun to watch at MSU last year.
I was thinking about, too, like, this is because he has such that dual threat thing going on, and not just a dual threat. It's like he's exceptional at running the football.
Right.
And
he could be a tailback. There's no doubt about it.
But at the same time, like, you have to balance out the idea of, we've seen guys who are really good at getting outside the pocket and trying to keep them healthy on top of how do you get with a guy who runs for 1,200 yards on the ground 1 year and then say, let's try to keep you on the field as long as possible, son.
Yeah, well, he has his strengths and he has his things that he does exceptionally well. Running the football is one of them. And you just got to, I don't want to say roll the dice, but that's his game. I mean, his game is to have a big load in the rushing attack, and that's what he wants. He's excited about that. He's proven to be durable, the last couple of years, and Jason. Jason has complete autonomy. First of all, he can do whatever he wants offensively. And that's the case with any offensive coordinator we've had there. I've never put restraints or restrictions on anybody. Just don't turn the ball over is my one request. Just take care of the football. But there's more than one way to get things done, and I was very impressed as we go back. We talked about the interview process and deciding who the coordinator was going to be. Jason has really got a creativity to his offenses and the ability to put guys in position to succeed, getting the most out of each guy, and that's really what he's looking for. He's not necessarily looking for X amount of tight ends, X amount of receivers. Give me the best football players we can find, and we'll find roles for them.
I'm curious with Jim Harding, because he'd been a co-coordinator for you. We talked about it, longest tenured coach on your offensive staff, and he's been kind of right-hand man for you for a lot of years. And I've got a lot of respect for Jim. A lot of respect.
You and I both.
Yeah, and I wondered, okay, coordinating positions open, is it a natural fit to rotate him in? But then I'm thinking, did he want it? Because you don't want Jim to go anywhere. He gets linemen drafted, he recruits well, and he develops well. So how did that go down with Coach?
Yeah, me and Jim had conversation during the process, and it just felt like we needed a clean break and a clean start as far as the scheme and an overhaul. We had a scheme that worked well for us for a lot of years, but in this day and age with the portal and kids coming and going, you better have a scheme that is very user-friendly. And one thing about Jason Beck's scheme is it's something that does not have a steep learning curve. A lot of signaling is going on from the sideline, telling kids what they're going to do on each particular play. And so that is another reason why we went that direction, is the simplicity of it. And we've also had to simplify the defense, because you don't have the chance to have kids soak in your system for 2 or 3 years and then be ready to play. If they're not playing in the first year or two, they're leaving.
Oh, yeah.
And so with that combined with the amount of turnover each year, you better be able to plug and play guys a lot more so than you used to, because you have so much turnover. And you don't have that much time to get them ready. You get them in January, and they better be ready to play and know the scheme by August.
I'm tired of coaching.
What are you tired of?
People in the community.
When's
he going to retire? I'm so sick of that question.
Yeah, put that to bed.
What's you? How about me?
Oh, I know you. And then you go.
But I brought up some of it upon myself by talking about it a little bit a few years ago.
So you did, and I get it in my job too. We're the age, so be it. But the one thing I saw in the quote from Jim Rome, as long as I'm passionate, dude, that means you'll coach forever. You'll never not be passionate. You wake up every day passionate.
Well, there's a lot of truth in that.
I don't know how you could use that as a barometer.
Well, let me just say this: that last year was so frustrating and so disappointing. Couldn't possibly have said, "Okay, that's it." I just couldn't have walked away on that note. It was the most frustrating year of my coaching career, and it was I would have never being able to come to terms with that, to have that be the last of a career. And so came back, and excitement for this team is, wow, what's that?
That's Willie Fritz going to the Willie Fritz commands a lot of attention, every time he walks in.
The main stage.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to have Jeff Rudy come over here and tackle Hans if we don't wrap it up.
That'd be a good
pretty
match.
quick.
Let's get these guys in
Actually,
Speedos and throw them in the ring.
I'm going to tell you right now. It's not
I'm out of town.
So let's call him a singlet, all right?
Yeah.
It's not a Speedo. Hey, Jeff, Coach wants you and I in a singlet to wrestle.
Grudge match.
Yeah.
$500 for Rudy to come off the table. With
hey,
an
they got
elbow.
the WWE guy here today, so we might as well make it. The connection with the WWE. We got to make that thing happen today. Coach, best of luck this year.
Thank you.
And that'll be the last retirement question for this week.
I hope that I don't ask it. I just get asked all the time. They know I know you.
That PK brings up. We appreciate it.
Okay.
We're wishing the best of health for your team as well.
Thank
we
you.
Want to see you
We
guys
could
back
use
at the top
that.
of the table.
We could use that. Thank you very
We're
much.
Excited for a
out
good
with us.
season.
Okay, well.
Hey, by the way,
August 30th.
If there was a poll,
I'll be there.
Let's just project the poll. You were picked 16th in the poll. How did you feel about that?
Oh, that's not true.
I didn't even.
He's made that up.
I said that because I've all the years you love to be the underdog.
Yeah, make him the underdog so that it
back
can
in
go
it.
well.
We thrive in that role.
Yeah,
I love
you do.
in that role. If in fact what you're saying is true, then good. I'm glad.
That's why I said it.
Coach, good luck this season.
Thank you, guys.
Have fun the rest of the day.
Okay.
There you go. Coach Kyle Whittingham, head coach of the University of Utah, joining us here on Big 12 Media Days as we finalize things here with him and Coach Whittingham there. If you missed any portion of that interview, we've got much more to go with that. More to go here on the program, and we'll get you all dialed in for Big 12 Media Days day number 2 from Frisco, Texas. Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan, Alex Kirry will be back with more to go right around the corner. 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.
The 2025 football season is nearly here, and it's time to hear from all of the coaches and players. Yeah, boy! This is Big 12 Media Day, live from Frisco, Texas. Media Day coverage on the Zone is brought to you by Window World. Call Window World for free quotes on windows, doors, and siding today. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome on in. It is the day number 2 of the Big 12 Media Days right here in Frisco, Texas at the Star Live. We are here on day 2. The University of Utah is highly highlighted for us here, highly highlighted at our station today because, of course, the Utes are walking through. Quarterback for the University of Utah, Devon Dampier, joining us. He's going to put a headset on here, and we're going to make this thing. Happen. Gosh, these offensive linemen getting all the attention. I don't know what it's about, man. Like, he's all for it. Here comes Devon putting the headset on. He even brought the helmet too. Now, this is one we're also obviously looking forward to because we've chatted with Spencer Fano before. We've chatted with a lot of these guys who've been at the University of Utah before, but Devon Dampier, the newest quarterback of the University of Utah. You've had quite the offseason, first of all. I was reading a quote
Good
from
to see you, Devon.
Good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Good to see you, too.
I was reading a quote from you, and it was like, the amount of connection I've had with this program for being in here, what do you attribute that to? I feel like a lot of it is, one, you're willing to just be into a new program and say, I'm going to give it all. I'm going to be here 100%. What has that connection been like being at Utah and making those, like having that connection with Coach Whittingham, coming here, you and Coach Beck, all those things that have kind of formed to where you are right now? What's been the thing that's made you connect to Utah so much in such a little time?
Yeah, again, I think it's that willingness to join a program. I keep telling people, culture is hard to find right now, just with the transfer portal and all that. So the fact that they had a set culture, and Coach Whitt made it clear, no one's bigger than the team. When you come to Utah, you adapt to us, and just to have that mentality to go in there and, okay, I'm gonna trust the process, and you start to trust the other guys, and it just all builds. It just all builds. So just having that awareness to adapt was the biggest.
Let's start with this. How was it playing for Bronco Mendenhall?
It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
I tell
what was
people,
it like?
Hard. Like everything we did there was nothing easy. Like we lived by the slogan "Earn Not Given" last year, and like I promise you, everything. You guys, any of those guys I put on that team, you feel like you earned everything that you got.
He bleeds the best out of you.
Yeah, for sure.
Would you have come if Jason Beck wasn't hired?
I don't know. I guess that's a big.
Because the point is your connection to him and him to you is
right.
strong.
I don't know. I mean that's my guy. So
why is he your guy?
I tell people, it's a lot more than football for us. I'm kind of like, he brings me around his family, all his kids and his wife. So it's a real family, and he just understands me, on the field especially. He gives me a lot of freedom on the field. He trusts me, and I feel like I play at my best when I got a coach that as talented as him with his play calling, and just be able to trust me when I think things need to go another way. So just to have that from a coach, it's great.
Yeah. What was your first meeting with Kyle Whittingham like? When you first met him, what did he say?
You can say scary too, because sometimes I feel scared by Kyle.
I wasn't more scared. I was more, everybody speaks really highly of Coach Witt. So
for sure, rightfully
and
so.
My older brother Dorian Singer, he played here last year. So, Coach Witt's that guy. So when I got to meet him, it's a little like nervous, like, oh, okay, I'm about to meet head man, but he's real laid-back guy. Just his mentality on what he wants out of players and what he wants out of this program. Just to hear him speak in the way that he does, you just tell he's a wise man. He's been here, he's done it. So, it was like talking to Big Boss. You feel me?
So Spencer Fano, I don't know if he's going to start this year, but he's a good kid.
We'll see.
Just start for
we'll
Chiefs.
See. We'll see.
But no, he brought up how dangerous you make the offense, and I want to know what that is. I want to know what that element is, the danger element that you bring. Obviously, you're dangerous on the feet. You throw the ball phenomenally well. What's the one that you look at and you go, do you want to sit back and throw it in the pocket more, or are you excited about, I want to get shaky and get outside that pocket too? I love doing that.
Yeah, I always tell everyone, I play football to win games. Whatever situation happens, I'm always going to do what's best for the situation and what's going to win the games. But I am very excited to be able to drop back there and just sit back there and be protected. It sounds very, very nice. A lot of quarterbacks don't get to have that. Sometimes you gotta throw on time a lot, and with the O-line I got, I can happily probably not be on time sometimes, and they're gonna create a lot more time for receivers to get open. So it's about to be great. I'm ready for it.
Well, I have to root for you, Devon. we got some background. I'm from Phoenix, also, just like you, where you played Saguaro, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played at SAG.
Yeah, and they've had several people have played in the NFL, so they have a good athletic program, good football program for sure. What was it like making that adjustment? Because you go from Phoenix, then you go to Albuquerque, it's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere, and then you come to Salt Lake. So in the last couple of years, you've had 3 different communities. How's that been?
Yeah, well, obviously Arizona's home, so
me too.
That's nothing to get used to. And then I always tell people Albuquerque gave me kind of like a Tucson kind of vibe,
I like it. It's small.
Yeah,
smaller.
a little smaller, but deserty, still the mountains and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of gave that vibe a little bit.
I can see that.
Just now in Utah, the cold. This is kind of somewhat my first time. Because, I'm originally born in Minnesota, so I've been around the cold. But just to be here at an older state, it's been great. I love all the traveling and everywhere I've been.
I want to know, is this your uncle in the swoop costume? This has got to be a family member.
They must have brought him over.
That's my twin. Don't worry about it.
Because you got Swoop over here. He's your hype man.
I've never seen a mascot more excited about another person in my life.
It's got to be a family member. It's got to be.
Hey, it's both ways. It's both ways, man. You know what I'm saying? It's that family.
We got another minute here.
Speaking of which, how's it been? Just do you feel like you fit in? Just family? Is it? Do you feel like Utah's become your family?
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. That culture, it's all built on brotherhood. Like it's all built on how much you care about the next guy, and what are you willing to put down for them to win these games. And I feel like I'm right in there.
Devon Dampier, quarterback for Utah, comes in. That offense is totally changed over, and it's totally going to look very different this year. And I think that's what Utah fans are looking forward to. The excitement levels there, and we're looking forward to you guys having a good year. Stay healthy, man.
Yeah,
obviously
for sure.
That's one of those things that we always are going. That's got to be the way to do it.
Have you built a relationship with a couple targets on the outside?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Who you feel most comfortable with?
Right now, our tight end Dallin, he's a real sleeper right now. Like it sounds like a lot of people didn't get to know about him last year, so Dallin's about to shock a lot of people coming into this year.
Dallin Porsche. Or they call him Bentley. I mean, it's I don't know, whatever you prefer.
Hey, same parent company.
Yeah.
That's right, the deal. Devon, thanks so much for your time, man. We appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate y'all as well.
Utah quarterback Devon Dampier on the program here with us. We appreciate him taking some time. We didn't even get to highlight the watch. We didn't even get to highlight the watch today. That watch looks pretty nice, dude. It's just an Apple Watch. We're looking forward to what he can do this year. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back. Stay right here. More to go. It is your Big 12 Media Days live in Frisco, Texas. Stay right here with us. Hans Olsen, Patrick Kinahan, Alex Kirry, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.